Alright, welcome to part 4 ng Index Overview series natin where we take a look at all 30 index names. Tapos, we basically draw out potential scenarios for them para kung sakali man na price goes to a certain area na may interest tayo or inaabangan natin, medyo handa po tayo kung ano yung gusto natin gawin if that happens. Okay? For this video, we'll start off with AEV. Now, tong AEV, when we broke out of this level here, nung 52.35, I was actually looking for a retest nitong 48.5 na area for a quick trade up, no? However, as I was telling my students, hindi ko to trinade. Bakit? Kasi nag-form muna tayo ng range here, meaning nagkaroon tayo ng support area there. So my thinking was, nung nabuo yan, and price eventually pulled back dito, hindi worth it yung risk-reward para sa akin para i-trade siya. Diba? Kasi I would have gotten in around 49, 48.5 more or less. Tapos iti-trade ko hanggang mga 50.5. So, hindi talagang maganda, no? Yung potential reward niya. So, hindi ko na lang siya trade. But as you can see, it did end up working out. Price pulled back here, came back, tag tong area na to. In fact, it did it again. So, you could have traded it twice. Came back to the same area, bounce, binalikan na naman to. Before we eventually broke down in this candle here and closing the week right at the previous level of support, now turned resistance at 48.5. Okay? Now from here, let me zoom in para lang mas makita natin in greater detail, no? Ano ba ang pwede natin expect? Well, number one, if we continue to hold beneath 48.5, then we might start trading within this range here ng 44.85 to 48.5. Whether or not that's a tradable range for you, syempre depends solely on you, no? Depende rin yan kung kunwari magsaset up siya in accordance with your parameters and your risk-reward rules. Now, kung sakali naman na we retake tong 48.5 and actually start trading above it, I wouldn't be too excited just yet. Kasi, ang dami na niyang pwede pag-untugan eh. Ang dami na nag-form along the way. So, I wouldn't be too excited to trade that area. But kung sabihin natin from here, we break up and we actually broke above tong 54.15, then that's something that I would start considering. Kasi once na mabasag yan, it opens up this area here. Diba? From 54.15, papunta sa next level of resistance ng 57.66, followed by 60 pesos. I think na mag-yield to ng better risk-reward kung sakali mang mangyari yon. Now, the other thing that might be leaping out at you is nag-form tayo ng, I think they call this complex head and shoulders, no? Yung medyo slanted yung neckline, and we did break beneath that neckline na. And in fact, we retested it from underneath as well. So we just need to be wary of this kasi from here, assuming you do believe in pattern targets, medyo malayo-layo pa pwede abutin nito eh. Baka balikan pa natin either tong area of previous consolidation or even these lows here from before, no? So, konting ingat lang sa AEV. If this is something that you want to trade, let's say na meron kayong fundamental bias, then of course, go for it, lalo na kung pumunta na siya sa valuation area nyo, no? Meaning an area where you think na talagang very cheap na yung AEV. Diba? You did the math for it, you did the work, you have the data, so of course, go for it. Huwag kayong makinig sa akin. But, kung sakali man na iniisip nyo palang pumasok from a technical perspective, then I would like to say na maybe you should reconsider muna, or kunyari, kung hindi man yon, pag-isipan nyo pa ng konti, dagdag 5 minutes man lang, to see whether or not this is something worth trading moving forward para sa inyo. Next, tignan po natin yung Metrobank or yung MBT, no? Now, tong MBT, as I mentioned before, I've been waiting for it dito sa my white zone or sa demand zone here around 45.4, 45.35 all the way down hanggang mga 43 something, no? Now, bakit ko siya dyan hinihintay? Kasi dito tayo huling nag-consolidate, diba? Nagre-range tayo dito nun, nag-conso dito, tas doon tayo nag-breakout. So, my expectation is if price pulls back there, then we might find some type of reaction. Now, I want to take this opportunity to explain ano nga ba yung sinasabi ko lagi when I say reaction. When I say reaction, all I mean is na kahit papano nag-expect ako na mag-hold yung price dito at bare minimum and magkakaroon tayo ng galaw to the upside kasi magre-react siya Diba? Bakit siya potentially pwedeng mag-react? Kasi may buyers tayo dito from before eh. Nag-conso tayo ng matagal dito, meron tayong parallel areas of consolidation dito. So if price pulls back, hindi naman siguro nakakagulat na baka may mga buyers na mag-step in considering ito rin yung area of support. Diba? So kung nag-step in sila, ang expectation ba dapat is because nagkaroon na reaction, dapat lilipad na? Of course not. Reaction nga eh. Reactions typically mean na mas short term. So, ang iniisip ko pwedeng mangyari is kung bumaba ito dito, mag-react tayo, something like this, bounce, fall, pakat yung mga tao dyan, then we move higher, okay? Essentially, nagkaroon tayo ng bear trap, sorry. Then, kapag ganon, there might be something there. A quick trade from 47 hanggang mga 49 or 50 pesos. Yes, again, percentage-wise, hindi siya kalakihan, pero sa mga ganitong klaseng setups, the risk-reward would likely be very nice. Okay, usually kapag ganito nasa mga 2:1, 3:1 yung mabibigay niya. And for me, with the way I trade, okay na yon. Alright? Now, kung sabihin natin from here, we tag tong support at 47, what can we expect next? Sabihin natin mag-hold yan. Then we start moving higher. Kung from here, ma-break natin ulit tong 49, maybe we can come back and trade within this range between 49 and 52.65, no? Again, it's not a bad range per se, but we do need to acknowledge na may mga pwede tayo paguntugan dito at 51, alright? And then again, somewhere around these clusters of lows prior to the target at 52.65. So around mga 52, mga ganon, baka pwedeng mauntog. So between 51 and 52, pwedeng may untog along the way. But if we do start trading above 49, then the expectation is dapat pwede nating i-range trade ulit to from 49 hanggang mga 52.65. Now, you can be a bit more conservative and bring the target down to 52, no? Again, that's purely on you. That's dependent on how you trade. That's dependent on how conservative or aggressive that you are, no? As a trader. Pero pag ako, yan yung titignan ko. Ito yung range na titignan ko. And the reason for that is ito yung area na nag-hold na rin before eh. Acted as a resistance here, support there, resistance here, support there, and so on, no? So I would be looking at this area as a potential target kung ma-decide ko man na worth it na i-range trade tong MBT. Alright? Now, let me zoom in a bit. Kung from here, we break down, test underneath, tapos mapunta nga tayo dito sa white zone. Alright? Tapos mabasag rin itong white zone na to. What can we expect? Kung mabasag yan, then highly likely we revisit this inflection point here around 39.5 na. Okay, kung ma-revisit natin yung 39.5 area na yan, that's another area of interest para sa akin. Hindi ko palang drino out kasi medyo malayo pa tayo eh. But if we do revisit that area there, I think that's something that's worth looking at. Okay, kung mabasag pati yan, then maybe babalik na tayo sa range na to between 34 and 36, mga ganon. So let's see, no? Huwag muna natin sobrang pangunahan since malayo pa naman tayo. But for now, again, where we are currently, I don't think yields a great risk-reward. Okay, again, kung meron kayong fundamental bias dito sa Metrobank, meron kayong values na hinahanap, ibang usapan po yun, no? By all means, go for it, research nyo yan eh. Pero from a technical perspective, para sa akin, where price lies, hindi pa siya worth it na i-trade right now kasi it's in the middle of nowhere. Next, tignan po natin yung SMPH, no? Now, tong SMPH, essentially, it has been trading within this range for quite some time now. How wide you view that range depends on how conservative or aggressive you are when it comes to trading ranges. Ako, as you guys know, I'm a bit more conservative, so I tend to view ranges ng mas narrow, no? So, para sa akin, yung pinaka quote-unquote range ng SMPH would be from 33.10 hanggang mga 38-39 pesos. Okay, bakit yon? Kasi I consider these areas here as overshoots kasi hindi sila nagtatagal eh. Parang aangat dun yung price pansamantala pero after a while it falls back down and babalik na naman tayo sa range na to. Same as what happens down here, no? So, bababa tayo dyan, pansamantala, tas aangat ulit, then before we know it, babalik tayo do sa high end ng range. So kapag ganon, I tend to be a bit more conservative and just view the range as such. Alright? Now, other than that, there's really not much else left to say sa SMPH. Alright? Kasi whenever price is stuck in chop, your only option is ano na naman eh, whether you range trade or you don't. Okay? There's no real breakouts to trade kapag nasa loob ka ng chop. There's no swing trade to take kasi lahat nasa loob ng chop. And there's no bottom picking to look for kasi, again, lahat nasa loob ng chop. So, your choice is to either range trade or not. If you don't range trade, then the other option is to simply wait for something to happen. Kung magkaroon tayo ng upside or downside na break, pwede tayong maghanap ng trades from there. But while the price is stuck in between, there's really not much else to do. Diba? Minsan nakaka-frustrate yung mga ganitong klaseng markets kasi kunwari, bullish ka ng SMPH, gusto mo siyang i-trade. Tapos syempre, bilang trader, gusto natin mag-trade. Trader nga eh. Pero, despite all of that, parang wala siyang pinupuntahan. Diba? So, the only thing left to do is to wait na may puntahan siya before we step in. Kasi otherwise, we don't know what's gonna happen. The likelihood na ma-stuck lang tayo within this chop is quite high. Now, within this chop, ano yung pwede natin tignan? Pwede nating sabihin na pwedeng is-segment yung ranges ng mas maliliit pa. So where we are right now, we're essentially trading within 34.2 hanggang 36.5. Okay? Pag nabasag yung 36.5 and we can start holding above it, pwedeng from 36.5 to 38.2. Okay? But again, in either of those ranges, or whether or not sabihin natin mabasag to and we start trading here, from 33.10 to 34.2, in all of those scenarios, I sincerely doubt na makakahanap tayo ng trade na merong magandang risk-reward. Okay? Lalo na kung kunwari ang focus natin na sa percentage gains, then it's gonna be very hard to find a trade sa ganitong type of environment that would satisfy yung criteria natin. Or at least it should be. Okay? So, for now, dito sa SMPH, siguro konting pasensya pa. Konting ingat-ingat, konting iwas-iwas muna. Let's wait for something more concrete to develop before we step in and do anything. Next, tignan natin yung MPI. Now, tong MPI, last week, we closed beneath our level of support sa 3.49, 3.5 na area, and that has been acting as support for quite a while, no? Kung papansinin natin, inflection point din siya. Acted as resistance here, support there, support here, and so on, no? And then last week, nabasag na nga po natin siya. So what can we expect dito sa MPI? Price could possibly pull back, maybe hanggang 3.5, maybe slightly higher. Dito sa mga lows na to, around 3.53, 3.54, mga ganon. Find some type of resistance, then we start rolling over. Pwedeng ganon. Kapag ka nangyari yun, diba, umangat dyan, nag-roll over, broke beneath this low, then the expectation is baka balikan na natin yung support natin dito sa 3.35. At kung mabasag pa yung 3.35, the next level of support will be 3.16. Okay? Now, let me zoom in a bit. I just needed to show you these levels here. Now, yung bullish scenario naman is if we can actually come back and retake not just ang high na to, but actually break above 3.67. Bakit 3.67? Kasi siya yung mga lows na nandito eh. Siya yung nag-act as support for the longest time. So, para sa akin, siya yung resistance na kailangan mabasag. So if we can come back and start trading above 3.67, then that opens up the possibility na mag-open up tong range sa taas from 3.67 hanggang 3.91. However, two things. Number one, pwedeng may untog tayo dito around 3.8. After all, nagkaroon tayo ng swing high dyan, di ba? Price came up, tas swung away. So may swing high tayo dyan and that could act as a resistance. However, bakit di ko linagyan ng level? Kasi, number two, yung like ko sinasabi, ang dami ng chop sa area na to. So even though na if price does come back here, it does technically open up this range, the likelihood na it will be an easy trade, medyo malabo. Kasi nga, ang dami ng chop along the way. Meaning malamang marami nag-try mag-ipon dito, hoping for a push to the upside. Hindi nila nakuha, price broke down. Merong mga hindi lumabas, merong mga naipit. So if price comes back up again, then the same people na bumili dito, 'di ba? Malamang may iba or karamihan doon maisipan nilang lumabas na para makalabas ng buhay, 'di ba? So pag ganoon, makaka-experience tayo ng selling pressure within the chop, so it will be harder for price to move up. with the exception na merong fundamental catalyst na magtutulak talaga ng price higher. Okay? Pero for now, where price is, it still looks quite bearish. It still looks it might push lower. Baka balikan pa yung mga levels of support that we just discussed. So, konting ingat-ingat lang po tayo dito sa MPI. And then finally, tingnan po natin yung SMC. Now, itong SMC, it's been trading within this range from mga 98-99 levels hanggang mga 109.5 with overshoot here hanggang 111. Okay? Now, when it came back here, binalikan natin yung support dito, which was at 100, eksakto, no? 100, tapos from there, nag-bounce tayo, umangat tayo, bumalik tayo hanggang 107 point something, 108 na area, before nag-close yung week na essentially walang nangyari dito sa area na yan. Nag-console lang tayo, no? From here, what can we expect? So, the first thing that I'm wary of when I saw this is baka may possible na quarter end na window dressing play. 'Di ba? Baka sakali lang na naitulak lang siya ng konti para mas maganda tignan on paper, 'di ba? Kaya quote and quote window dressing. Pero syempre hindi naman po natin alam 'yun eh. Wala tayong kasiguraduhan na naganap talaga siya. So, from here, from a technical perspective, ang tinitingnan ko is if we can pull back and mag-hold tong 105 na area, then maybe we can start trading between 105 hanggang 109.5. And then from there, let's see kung kaya nating basagin tong 111 altogether. Kung mabasag natin yung 111, then that opens up this chart. Because that's gonna look like, at least to me, na may parang reversal na nagaganap. Now, a lot of people don't like when I say na yung reversal pwedeng short term, pwedeng tawagin na lang bounce. Pero, why would we do that? Alam ba natin na yung reversal na yon ay bounce lang at the time? Alam ba natin na yung reversal na yon at the time ay magiging pangmatagalan na from there, yun na pala yung simula ng angat hanggang kung ano man yung umabot na price? 50%, 60%, 100% up? We don't know. That's why I try to use broad terms as much as I can. Kasi I need to be able to express my thoughts in such a way na hindi siya, kumbaga, super specific lang into one scenario. 'Di ba? So, kung sakali man na mabasag natin tong 111, yes, it's gonna look like some type of reversal. It does open up the chart. From there, next levels of resistances will be at 115, 116, followed by 121. But I do think na it's gonna look a lot healthier kung mangyari yon. However, I would be wary kung kunwari bukas mismo mabasag na yan kasi it's gonna look overstretched. 'Di ba? Parang green, isang sandaling pahinga tas isang malaking green na naman. Then syempre medyo mag-aalangan tayo doon, no? But kung sabihin natin from here bumalik, nag-conso, then we push higher, tas nag-conso, then that's something that we could possibly look for as a trade moving forward. Baka nga ready na yung SMC na umangat ulit. Okay? However, kunyari, from here, we just break beneath tong 105, test it from underneath, mag-hold, roll over again, then highly likely either babalikan natin tong 100 na level or baka mabalikan natin tong 98.9. Okay? From before. Kung mabasag yung 98.9, then it's gonna be a lot deeper. From here, we might revisit tong mga lows na to. And if even those break, then baka ma-revisit natin yung pandemic low from before, no? So, from where we are right now, again, buying it, hindi maganda from a risk-reward perspective kasi yung resistance nandyan na kaagad. So I would rather wait and see how this develops before we commit on whether or not SMC is something that we want to trade moving forward. So guys, dito po nagtatapos yung video natin, no? I hope nakatulong po to sa inyo kahit konti and may natutunan kayo kahit papano. And if so, I would really appreciate it if you give this video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And as always guys, maraming salamat po sa panonood. I really appreciate it. Good luck and happy trading!